Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, on tonight's content, we're going to dive into the cesspool that is D.C., Washington, D.C. Now, you guys know, or if you don't know, it is one of the gun control capitals of our entire nation. Extreme gun control, and just so happens at the exact same time to be the highest gun murder per capita in the United States. Interesting juxtaposition. We've covered that ad nauseum, and we're going to cover it more. But the content of tonight's video is infuriating, or at least to me. You guys can let me know below if you agree. But essentially, what the gun control left does is they kind of play both ends of the spectrum. Guns are bad, gun control completely necessary, absolute gun control. Then they come over here and they say, oh, but consequences for gun violence are not a good thing, so we don't need it either because it'll ruin the criminals' lives. And they kind of have this little argument back and forth of who's the better good guy. But this is involving children, and this is despicable in my opinion. It's in the description box below, and fair warning. Spicy warning, I'm going to get spicy on this one. I've read it 60 times. I got angry each time. It might happen. Forgive me if so, but if not, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, because this is a perfect case in point of why leftist ideals around gun control do not work. All right, here we go. Man, I'm already amped. Okay, let's get this. D.C. should consider excluding gun offenders from the Youth Act leniency, police chief says. Now, to set this up a little bit, like I said, extreme gun control. It gave us the Heller decision out of Washington, D.C. But they've also got another side of this coin. It's called the Youth Act leniency. It's basically the Youth Act. Basically, if you're below 24 years old and you create a heinous crime, it'll mess up your life if you get prison time or a felony, so you get a lighter sentence at the judge's discretion. That's in a nutshell. But let's keep going. I know, what could go wrong? Well, here's a really great case in point. I'm already getting amped. Facing soaring rates of gun violence, D.C. Police Chief Robert J. Conte III has called for the city to reevaluate whether gun offenders should be eligible for the Youth Rehabilitation Act, a law that gives young adults a chance to receive lighter sentences and have their records wiped clean from public view. So, gun crime, horrible, terrible, you're going to go to jail, you get all these consequences, but if you do it and you're under 24, the judge can wipe away your entire record. What? Doesn't make sense, right? Their ideals conflict. We always talk about that. But let's keep going, because this is where the numbers actually start to really make a difference. And listen to this. What would you think if you lived in D.C. and you saw this? The push for reform comes after a story in the Washington Post revealed that 51% of the convicts sentenced under the act between 2019 and 2020 had committed a crime with a firearm, according to court data. So, gun violence bad, gun crime bad, gun control is absolutely necessary, but anyone who violated those new gun controls, 51% of them get off. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Where are you at? What's up, lefties? I don't understand. During that same period, more than 1,600 people in the city were shot, leaving 307 of them dead. The story examined the case of a man whose negligence with an illegal gun left a 4-year-old girl paralyzed, and this is where I'm going to start to get real amped. Here's what happened. Forgive me if I get spicy. On May 25th, 2020, Myona Hinton followed her 7-year-old relative T into a friend's apartment in the southeast. Inside, a child who lived there handed T the weapon. Believing it was a toy, he fired it, sending a round through Myona's neck. When the gun's owner, Mr. Ford, learned that what had happened, he ran inside, stepping past Myona's bleeding body, and ordered T to hand him the weapon, a prosecutor later said. As the kids fled, Ford, then 23, a 23-year-old man, wrapped the gun in a black shirt and walked out, leaving Myona to die alone. A 4-year-old. This is a criminal who had an illegal gun, who sees a 4-year-old girl shot in the neck, laying on the ground, bleeding, gasping for air. He steps over her and runs away because he doesn't want to get in trouble. There is no curse in elven or in human to make this strong enough to go Lord of the Rings. It's so infuriating. Okay, but let's keep going. Let's listen to how he got off. Ford eventually took a plea deal, admitting to carrying a pistol without a license and attempting to tamper with evidence. A year after the shooting, Ford told D.C. Superior Court Judge Neil E. Kravitz that he had removed the gun, which was never found, because he just wanted to help by stepping over a bleeding 4-year-old. Kravitz decided that Ford, again, that's the judge, whose 2 prior gun arrests didn't lead to convictions, deserved leniency, calling him precisely the type of person that the Youth Rehabilitation Act exists for. He had 2 previous gun arrests, no convictions. Now he has a 4-year-old who's paralyzed for the rest of her life, steps over, does not help. This judge decides, well, he deserves leniency. If you're not hyped up yet, I don't know, but here's a little something extra to get extra hype, because this is this level of crap that the gun controllers give us. He sentenced Ford to 18 months in prison, with the threat of another 12 months if he broke the terms of his plea before finishing 3 years of probation and rehabilitation. That means Ford, who received credit for 9 months he'd already served, is scheduled for release next spring, and under the D.C. law, his record could be cleared by 2025, just before my own 10th birthday. Because of this man's actions, a 4-year-old was paralyzed. He stepped over, almost willing to let her die. Then he gets out of jail before she's 10 years old. She's in a paralyzed wheelchair for the rest of her life. He has an expunged record. Tell me again how leftist gun controllers are all about the victim and they're all about those that are affected by gun violence, because this right here is some absolute crap. You can't play both sides of this ultimate gun control and then ultimate no accountability, because when you do, you're going to end up in the exact same position where gun violence is rampant because there are no consequences to the laws of which you're opposing upon the legal. This is the worst. I can't even go too deep into it, but that's why I'm bringing it to you. This is crap to look at. This is not fun to research, but it's something that we need to bring up because these types of things or the leftist gun control policies take us. And it is not a good place. And that is why we're going to pass the blessings of the Second Amendment along to the next generation. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you tomorrow. This is Braden signing out.